Hello, this is Catherine. Um, Shooting a group of short YouTube videos called The American Withdrawn. This is part 15 now. Um, so I was on Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye, and I was talking about in part 14 the comparison between herself and The Sound and the Fury, and The Lord of the Flies. So beyond things like Nietzsche or John Dewey, I think there's a lot of cinematic effect to all of those authors. And so I started noticing about The Bluest Eye that there's a concern for the author spiritually as to why women aren't as much of a studious fixation as other topics. Because if you read The Sound and the Fury, you know what Faulkner is really doing is he kind of like hooks you into certain singular events within a space, and when you start bringing that into your daily life, it's almost like a mantra or esoteric code where you start, last night there was a solar eclipse. Well, there was supposed to be a solar eclipse during the day, so I don't know if that had some effect on the nighttime, but last night there was this, just sliver crescent moon and this very, dark, circular, darker than the rest of the sky moon, and that, you could really start to like navigate by it, So I don't really know what they're saying about The Sound and the Fury being his greatest novel, but I think when you think about prayer, I had many women I met homeless who shared many things about spirituality that they had experienced, and so this one woman in Tucson, she did a prayer about the Father of Lights, and so once you start noticing that sort of influence, you start thinking about all the sort of lights around you and what that sort of hook is. So I think what Toni Morrison wants to do with women, when you get like past 100 minutes or so into like 180 minutes into like 220 minutes, is that she's trying to create a sense of really feeling like women do hook people. And so in that sense, she has these characterizations. I don't really know all about English and its esoteric aspects and its continuity with events or happenings in India, but you'll start noticing a canonization of Indian diagnostics that has a lot to do with children, things like encouraging families to teach children self-reliance and massaging their own joints, or people like Rabindranath Tagore, who would, he had all these little devices that he called connecting people with the universe. And so I don't know, I see a lot of that in what Toni Morrison is doing in The Bluest Eye, but she definitely has that focus of wanting to make women more and human ecology. It's sort of like lightly said that humans are the most studied thing. Like, why do we have to talk about humans anymore? And I think she sort of notices that cliche trying too hard intellectualism of someone who has minor confessions of not having done enough, and so they try to belittle something else. So I think that's what she's doing. Is she's trying to use the cinematic devices that The Sound and the Fury introduced earlier to sort of, really get the reader to start paying attention to the women she's introducing in sequential order. And I think also, all of those books have such violent content about them, that sort of feeling of being around very decadent behavior, where the Lord of the Flies talks about this as about smell. We know from psychology that there's a positive and there's a negative, and if you start creating humans as really, really positive, they start wanting to balance that out, and they start desiring very, very negative things. For instance, if you produce a lot of very, very clean people, there starts becoming intense seasonal affective disorders, where it's just like I need to get out there and go swimming, like I really, really have to have it, and so you can sort of see that about them all, talking about their desires for what they want to see happen to humans, especially if they don't like them, and that positivity has become a financial game. So I see a lot going on, but I think once you start complicating what Rabindranath Tagore talks about, a scenic conquest, and what it means to start dealing with a character that has is something that's conquered and also has capacities of being a conqueror. You sort of you become able to start talking about it in a more scientific way, brushing it off as joy or attraction or decadence, that type of stuff. But yeah.